Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl. She lived with her mother in a cottage on the edge of a wood. On the other side of the wood lived her grandmother. This dear old lady had made her grandchild a pretty red cloak and hood, which she was seldom seen without. On this account, she was called Little Red Riding Hood. One day her mother called Little Red Riding Hood and put a basket into her hand. "I wish you to go to your grandmother's, dear, and see how she is. I hear she has been ill. Give her the cake and the little pot of butter that are in the basket. Don't stop to play by the way, and don't talk to anyone you may meet." Little Red Riding Hood hurried along the path to her grandmother's. Halfway through the wood she met a great wolf. He wished to eat her, but dared not because some woodchoppers were working nearby, so he began to talk to her instead. "Where are you going, little girl?" he asked. Red Riding Hood forgot her mother's caution. "I'm going to see my grandmother," she replied. "In my basket are a cake and a little pot of butter from my mother." "Does she live far off?" asked the wolf. "Oh, yes. It is the first house in the village after you pass the mill." "I think," said the wolf, "that I will go to see your grandmother too. I will go this way and you that, and we shall see who will get there first." The sly wolf took the nearest way, and Red Riding Hood went by the farthest. The wolf raced all the way, while the little girl idled along in the bright sunshine. Sometimes, too, she stopped to pick flowers or to chase a butterfly, so the wolf reached the grandmother's first. Tap, tap, tap came his knock at the door. "Who's there?" "Your grandchild, Little Red Riding Hood. Mother sent me with a cake and a little pot of butter." The good grandmother, who was ill in bed, called out, "Pull the bobbin and the latch will fly up." The wolf did this, as he was told, and the door opened. Into the cottage sprang the fierce animal. He leapt upon the bed and ate up the old woman in no time, for he had gone 3 days without food. "Now for Little Red Riding Hood," thought the wolf. He put on the grandmother's nightdress and cap and got into bed. Very soon there came a gentle tap-tap at the door. "Who is there?" The big voice frightened Red Riding Hood at first. Then she said to herself, "Grandmother must have a bad cold." So she replied, "This is Little Red Riding Hood. Mother has sent you a cake and a little pot of butter." "Pull the bobbin and the latch will go up," said the wolf in his softest voice. Little Red Riding Hood pulled the bobbin, and the latch flew up, and the door opened. The wolf hid under the bedclothes and said in a muffled voice, "Now, dear, put the cake and the pot of butter on the shelf and come to bed." Little Red Riding Hood made ready for bed. Then she came to the bedside and gazed with wonder at her grandmother. "Grandmother, what great arms you have!" "The better to hug you, my dear." "Grandmother, what great ears you have!" "The better to hear you, my dear." "Grandmother, what great eyes you have!" "The better to see you, my dear." "Oh, grandmother, what great teeth you have!" "The better to eat you, my dear." With these words, the wicked wolf sprang out of bed and ate up poor Little Red Riding Hood. But the little girl's cries had been heard by a woodcutter. With axe in hand, he hastened to the cottage. The wicked wolf sprang upon the man as he entered the door, but the woodcutter was the stronger. With one blow of his axe, he cut open the wicked wolf, and lo, a wonderful thing happened. Red Riding Hood and her grandmother, alive and well, stood before him. How glad they were to thank the kind woodcutter who had saved their lives.